Hi, good afternoon, everyone. ठीक है बेटा, let us continue with this chapter that we were doing on indifference curve. I am first taking the homework question. देखो ध्यान से. It says good 1 is neutral good and good 2 is a normal good. So how will you draw indifference curve? Good 1, good 2. This will be your indifference curve. Good 1 का कुछ भी quantity हो, it does not matter. It is going to keep your utility unchanged. आपका utility change नहीं होगा. So now we talk about MRS. MRS is the amount of good 2 you are willing to give up for an extra unit of good 1. एक extra good 1 के लिए good 1 जब 1 से 2 जा रहा है, how much good 2 are you willing to give up? No good 2. Your good 2 is fixed at x2 units. So when good 1 is increasing, are you changing the amount of good 2? No. You want to keep good 2 at x2 only. Because increasing good 1 does not increase your utility. Good 1 के बढ़ने से आपका utility नहीं बढ़ रहा. You are not able to increase your utility. So when good 1 is increasing, your utility is unchanged. Isn't it? So if your utility is unchanged, beta, अगर utility change हो ही नहीं रहा, so for an extra unit of good 1, you will give 0 units of good 2. So what will be MRS? 0. That is the answer to this homework question. तो क्या हो जाएगा MRS? MRS will be 0. Okay. Now, let us talk about the behavior of MRS. ठीक है बेटा, claim. My claim is that indifference curve, well-defined indifference curve, exhibit diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Well-defined indifference curve diminish marginal rate of substitution. Marginal rate of substitution का क्या मतलब है? What is the meaning of marginal rate of substitution? Marginal rate of substitution was the amount of good 2 you were willing to give up for an extra unit of good 1. है ना? और ये diminish करता है. Diminish means that as, देखो, take an example. Suppose I have good 1 unit and good 2 suppose I have 25 units. ठीक है? And I am here beta. This is good 2, 25 units and good 1 unit. तो good 1 तो मेरे पास बहुत कम है. I have very less amount of good 1. Since consumer has less amount of good 1 at point A, he values good 1 more. ये good 1 है. This is good 2. Good 1, I just have 1 unit. सिर्फ एक unit है good 1 का. So I am valuing good 1 too much. It is very precious to me. So consumer is willing to give up more units of good 1, of good 2 for extra unit of good 1. कंज्यूमर ज्यादा गुड टू देने के लिए रेडी है फॉर एन एक्स्ट्रा यूनिट ऑफ गुड 1. सो सपोज आई टेल यू दैट टू गेट 1 more यूनिट ऑफ गुड 2, गुड 1 को 1 यूनिट से बढ़ाने के लिए कंज्यूमर इज विलिंग टू गिव अप 10 यूनिट्स ऑफ गुड 2. यू सी दिस गैप, दिस इज 10 बेटा, 10 units of good 2 for extra unit of good 1. ठीक है. Now at point B, जब हम point B पे बात करते हैं, consumer has 15 good 2 and 2 good 1. But you ask the consumer again, how much are you willing to give up good 2 for an extra unit of good 1? 3 units पे जाने के लिए. Now consumer says कि okay, now I have 2 units of good 1. अब मेरे पास 2 यूनिट पहले से हैं good 1 के. Since I have 2 units of good 1, now I am willing to give up, suppose I am willing to give up only 7 units of good 2 for extra unit of good 1. I am willing to give up 7 units of good 2 for extra unit of good 1, and you come to point C. Up at point C, consumer has 8 units of good 2 and he has 3 units of good 1. And you again ask the consumer what he wants to do. So you realize that as the amount of good 1 increases, as you move from point A to B to C, जैसे जैसे आप A से B से C पे आते हो, good 1 का consumption बढ़ रहा है. The amount of good 1 is increasing. And as the amount of good 1 is increasing, consumer is willing to give up less of good 2 for extra unit of good 1. Consumer कम good 2 देना चाहता है एक extra good 1 के लिए. So for example, at point D, consumer is willing to give up only 4 units of good 2. From 8, he is coming to 4 for an extra unit of good 1. So the amount of good 2 that consumer is willing to give up for an extra unit of good 1 is falling as you move along the indifference curve, because you already have a lot of good 1. So now consumer does not want to go ahead and give too much good 2 for an extra unit of good 1. Consumer बहुत ज़्यादा good 2 नहीं देना चाहता for an extra unit of good 1. And that is why there is diminishing MRS. Diminishing MRS means how much good 2 you are willing to give up will fall. यहाँ पे 10 यूनिट देना चाह रहे थे good 2 के ताकि एक एक्स्ट्रा गुड 1 मिल पाए. यहाँ पे सिर्फ 7 यूनिट्स यू आर विलिंग टू गिव अप फॉर एन एक्स्ट्रा यूनिट ऑफ गुड 1. देन 4 यूनिट्स यू आर विलिंग टू गिव अप फॉर एन एक्स्ट्रा यूनिट ऑफ गुड 1. राइट? सो as consumer moves from left to right along an indifference curve, he is willing to give up less of good 2, less amount of good 2 for an extra unit of good 1. वो कम good 2 देना चाहेगा for extra unit of good 1. This is called, what is this called beta? Diminishing MRS. Diminishing MRS. How do we show diminishing MRS? कैसे दिखा सकते हैं मैथमेटिकली? मैथमेटिकली A convex indifference curve implies diminishing MRS. अगर इंडिफरेंस कर्व कॉन्वेक्स टू ओरिजिन है, इफ इंडिफरेंस कर्व आर कॉन्वेक्स टू ओरिजिन, it actually goes ahead and it means diminishing MRS. Mathematically, this is the first thing, right? Secondly, if we want to go ahead and we want to check whether indifference curve are actually convex to origin or not, या अगर हमें चेक करना है कि diminishing MRS है या नहीं है, then mathematically we can differentiate MRS with respect to X, absolute value of MRS. And if this is less than 0, अगर ये 0 से कम आ जाए, if this is less than 0, then we can say that you have diminishing MRS. So there are two ways to check diminishing MRS, beta. Method number 1 is you go ahead and differentiate with respect to X. अगर ये less than 0 आ जाए, then this is diminishing MRS. And method number 2, you check whether indifference curve are convex or not. If they are convex to origin, तो भी उसको बोल सकते हैं that there are diminishing MRS. Is this clear? ठीक है बेटा. Now I am going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a question here. So please write down. Homework question, right? So the question is, if both capsicum and mushroom are bad goods, will the indifference curve have negative or positive slope? Will the indifference curve have negative or positive slope? I am giving you a hint. If you remember, beta, good, bad, circle. This is saying that both of them are bad goods. So bad. That means this quadrant. So this is your indifference curve. Okay. That is how you can go ahead and do this question. Okay, beta. So with this, we have talked about indifference curve. In the next lecture, we will introduce officially the concept